we're here with our legendary whiskey connoisseur, Kristen Tuck.
Very amateur. What do we have?
What are you saying? The whiskey's amateur?
I'm amateur.
Okay.
When it comes to whiskey tasting.
All right, tell the people what we've got here.
This is a bottle of Fisher's. It's a local distillery here in Greensboro, North Carolina. This is their bottled in bond release. If you don't know what bottled in bond means, it is, in order to have that title, it means it's produced, aged, and bottled according to a specific set of regulations established by the U.S. government. Basically, it's got to be made by a single distillery, aged for no less than 4 years in a government bonded warehouse. And
thanks for that information, Chris.
typically, bottled and bond releases are very good.
And this would be a third batch, bottle number 304.
I will say that when it comes to like Jack Daniels, like the base Jack Daniels, a lot of people like kind of look over it, but the bottled and bond is really good. So I will say that Jack Daniels bottled and bond is delicious.
Maybe we'll try it sometime. I'm not a Jack Daniels fan, you know that?
Yeah, like I said, regular Jack Daniels is not that great, but like all their special releases are pretty good.
Alrighty. Here you go.
Thanks, sir.
So we're lucky to have a distillery that's actually right down the street from here. The only one in Greensboro?
I think so. There's definitely one in Charlotte.
Smells good.
Little brown sugar.
Little brown sugar.
You can definitely smell the corn.
I can smell the barrel.
Vanilla. All your classic bourbon kind of notes.
Wow. That is smooth. That's unexpected.
I hate to say it, but do you taste a little cardboard?
You know, since I didn't go to cardboard college, it's probably not as fresh in my mind.
Think cardboard and take a sip. I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
I think they brainwashed you in cardboard college.
You think so?
It's not a bad thing to taste cardboard.
There's like a dark fruit in there too, though.
I don't taste the cardboard.
No?
No. I think you're mistaking the smoothness for like the smoothness of cardboard. This is one of those whiskeys you gotta let it breathe for a few minutes.
Oh, really?
To pick up its natural flavors. Yeah, for sure.
It is funny, but like, yeah, it's like seriously, there was like a paper kind of to it.
Paper
At the very beginning.
You know, it's probably the wood.
Like when it, probably.
You're going deep into the wood.
Like when it first hits your tongue, there's like a paper kind of taste to it. I know how often you eat paper.
Not that often.
Not that often.
No, I did have some paper recently in my mouth. A little tab of paper. For those that know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. It's good. To be honest with you, it's a little too sort of mellow for my kind of flavor.
Too mellow.
Yeah. I like a whiskey with a little punch. You know, kind of smacks you in the face and say, "Hey,
wake the fuck up! You're on a podcast."
Yeah, here's some cherry. Here's a
cherry.
Here's a cherry bomb.
You get smacked with a cherry.
Like in that Maker's Mark 40.
Yeah, that
Maker's
did
Mark.
have cherry.
Yeah, cherry, 100%.
Yeah.
I like some of those things that really like kind of stand out.
I feel like this whiskey has a chance to have some of that. I think you should just let it breathe.
Maybe.
Yeah.
It's good. I like it.
It's got a lot of good flavor, but you're right. It's the mellow. It's so smooth that you really don't enjoy it after.
Yeah.
You got no after.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why you're the best. That's why we have you on, Chris, because you have a way with your description where I'm just like, ooh, it's smooth. Yeah, but aren't you missing something? Well, I never thought about it like that.
Yeah, like going back again. I know I've smelt it a couple times, but like corn, you can definitely you can smell the corn in there.
You know, I think it gives you a little bit.
Think like a can of corn, like crack it open. I know
So
you
you're
know
the guy that's like making whiskey in his closet in a cardboard box with a can of corn. Like, this will eventually ferment into something.
It's bourbon. It's like it's got to be at least 51% corn. I don't know what their mash bill is. Think about it. Smell it. Think canned corn.
I don't want to. I don't want to do that.
It doesn't have to be cream corn.
Why would it? Why would that matter? I'd rather it be cream corn. I'd rather it be cream corn. I think if you swallow it and take a deep breath out over your tongue, like hot air over your tongue, it has a lot of. That's really where it's enjoyable at.
Yeah, one thing that I've noticed with what do you call them, craft distilleries, which is what this is, obviously, is you get like the alcohol that you kind of taste in it is real kind of bitey, almost like a metallic kind of feel to it. That's what I'm getting out of this. No?
No. I mean, it's the way that you describe whiskey is like. It's not like somebody who doesn't enjoy it. You know what I mean? You're like, yeah, I like a good whiskey. It's got that cardboard the first note of cardboard.
Hey, I'm just saying whatever's like coming to my head.
But
like,
then once you breathe it, you smell it. It's like fresh cracked open can of corn, like fresh corn. And then, but when you swallow it, like that metallic-y, like, you know, like, how did you describe it?
Here's the thing, like I like a lot of the double oak stuff, like Woodford Reserve double oaked, super good, sweet.
My favorite.
Jim Beam double oaked.
Not
the
my
way
favorite.
I describe Jim Beam double oaked is you pour sugar on a oak plank and lick it off. Delicious.
If you poured sugar on a wooden plank
and
licked it off, some people will get a bad splinter.
Well,
You can't taste the oak just by licking a plank.
maybe you could smooth it out, with some sandpaper. That way you don't get a splinter.
Oh my god! If you just poured the sugar on a table, it would be the same.
Try it.
You've got to age that sugar on that plank to pull that flavor out. It's too simple for you.
What do you mean?
You got to go a little deeper. Got to go a little deeper into the flavor notes. Like you're thinking about the metallic still that the alcohol ran through, and you're tasting that.
All right, what do you think when you say bourbon? It's like brown sugar, vanilla, caramel, cherry, sweet tea. Sometimes, classic bourbon flavors. All that stuff's mostly in every bourbon. Sometimes it's more or less or whatever, but those are the things you taste in like every bourbon. So what you're looking for is something that's a little different.
So you're telling me you're going beyond the flavor notes, down to the bare roots.
I guess I'm just telling you.
You can smell right to the source.
I'm telling you what I'm smelling and tasting.
You go right to the source. So you might be a better connoisseur than you think you are.
I guess.
You might could tell what plant, what state.
I obviously know where this came from.
If the people didn't know, we could have fooled them. You'd be like, this tastes like Reedsville corn.
I don't want to like talk bad about like craft distilleries and stuff. The Ironclad was like too much. It was all like metallic, like.
So when you taste the
licking
metallic,
a penny, putting a battery on your tongue.
Okay, so when you say licking a penny, you know that the Fainting Goat, they use those copper stills.
Oh, that's one thing that, because it's been a while since I did the tour.
Yeah, copper.
Do you know? So does that mean it is a pot still, or is it a column still that they're doing this in?
They're doing column stills. So what part it runs through the still and then goes into the barrel, right?
No, it runs through the still and then they collect it typically in like a tote and then they pump it from the toad into barrels.
So if you,
Of course, they like cut the hearts or they cut the heads and the hearts and the tails and all that stuff.
so you're tasting the part of the process before the barrel, whether it's in a copper column still,
Well, I will
or
say,
like an aluminum. If you could taste those differences though, let's not cover that up. Let's like explore that.
I don't know, like
What if you could?
the difference between a pot still and a column still, totally different.
But you can taste the difference. You can tell what the taste is.
I feel like anyone can tell that.
Maybe. I don't know that people can.
I tell you what, I got a bottle of Balcones. They're bourbon. It's done in a pot still. It's a pot still bourbon.
Mm-hmm.
You can taste all the oils and stuff like that. It's like you can 100% tell that it's a difference. Most companies, 90-some%, definitely do column still. Mostly it's the craft people that are doing pot still.
You know, I don't 100% know the difference. All I know is that I've seen like those columns at their place.
Yeah, so the columns have the little windows.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like if you're doing like a gin, you would put
They do
botanicals.
gin. That's what they're doing there.
They would put, or some people put botanicals in those plates. A pot still is just like a rounded sort of top, right? And there's like a line that comes out of the top and then goes over to wherever you're collecting it at.
Right. So that's the old school way.
Yeah, that's the old school way.
And you're telling me that you could taste that difference no matter what?
You definitely can.
If I brought you blind taste, you could?
Yes.
I think we should do that on the next podcast.
I mean, like, I don't know if it's 100%. Like, maybe I can't, but like,
here's what I'm saying.
From what I've had, yeah, you can taste the difference.
Here's what I'm saying. If you have that ability, I think we should promote that. I'm not trying to like say, oh, I'm gonna mess you up. I'm gonna trick you.
I mean, that's fine.
I'm saying if you could do that, we need to have like multiple whiskeys on each episode, and you tell us about them.
I think the problem that you're gonna have is getting the same whiskey, column, pot.
Oh yeah.
You're not gonna have that. They're gonna be two different whiskeys.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
A lot of your Irish stuff is done in pot stills too. If I'm not mistaken, on the Whiskey Tribe, I believe their distillery that they have in Austin, Texas, I believe that they've done a pot column still of the same mash bill. So that'd be something good to get.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about right there.
Yeah,
You know
that'd be the only one because that's
you know what it is.
What?
Do you know what it is?
I don't remember.
But you can find it.
Probably.
And would it be an expensive process to get the old one? Or did they do it side by side? Or did they actually just switch?
I mean, the whole thing with the Whiskey Tribe is like for stuff like that specifically. Like, hey, here's two whiskeys made with different processes, same mash bill. See if you can taste the difference.
And you're telling me you could taste that right away. But you think that's normal?
I am fairly certain that I could taste the difference.
And you think that's normal?
Yes.
I don't think I would put money on it that if we blind tasted. Bro, the studio's falling apart as we sit here.
Oh no!
I would say
we lost it.
Guys, this is really
lost the phone.
This is the $5 build. We put this studio together today. This is the studio you're going to be seeing us in for years to come. We could be sitting here a year from today, Chris, with 100,000 people watching us in this studio that was falling apart.
That's awesome. That's what you want. Authenticity.
And we started all with the local whiskey. Greensboro, like, shout out to us.
Shout out to Green. Yeah, Greensboro doesn't get a lot of recognition for anything.
Hey, they got a good whiskey. I think our viewers will be appreciative.
It is good. I like it. Despite the...
This is just one.
I didn't mean cardboard and corn as a derogatory thing. It's just what I'm tasting.
He likes guys. He looks for
delicious.
that. It's getting better. That the longer it breathes, it is getting a bite on the end. Do you feel it? You pick it up on that? Right on the back of your tongue?
I'm picking up more like a wax, too.
A wax?
Like a waxy sort of feel. Like on your tongue.
Wax. What could that be in the process? A wax.
Probably wood tannins, I think. Something like that. It's not uncommon. It's common.
So you're like a whiskey sommelier, and you were like, oh, I'm an amateur.
I like to pretend. Yeah,
so you're over here just pretending that you have no idea. So you can see what I think.
Watch a lot of YouTube videos.
You're just like, I'm gonna see what he says about it.
I really got into like whiskey tasting there for a little while. So yeah.
Look, this is all brand new to me, guys. I didn't know he was an expert. I feel I'm the rookie now. I guess I'm a rookie anyway.
You really don't taste the wax sort of feel.
I mean, I do now.
Yeah,
I do now that you said something.
That's the other thing that like plays into this is like people's suggestions on things.
I taste a little like pepper. A little bit of pepper at the very top of the swallow, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I can see that.
It's like a little cinnamon-y pepper, like spicy cinnamon.
Allspice kind of deal.
Yeah.
Maybe
Maybe not pepper, but spice. You know, we should taste test their gin. It's actually my favorite.
I'm not a big fan of gin, but their gin is really good.
Yeah. Oh, you've had it?
I've had it.
Yeah. I'm not a big fan of gin either.
You know what's crazy is like when we were in our 20s and I was like, yeah, I'm a whiskey drinker. And like we went to that whiskey bar and I tried all the Islas and like I'll just take a shot. Like, it's completely different from what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
Like it's completely different.
Yeah. Cause you
Like,
drink the whole
what
thing.
kind of psycho takes a shot of Lafroig?
Yeah. I mean, I know one. The funny thing is when you're younger,
It's like Jack and Coke, you know, it's like you're just drinking to get drunk, you know. I enjoyed some of them, but I just didn't know what I was drinking, you know. I think the main thing when it comes to whiskey, I think the problem with most people is just trying to get past the alcohol. To someone that's not used to it, you kind of like, that's all you taste is like the alcohol. You can't get past anything else.
yeah, for sure.
Which, like when it comes to like the Isla scotches that, you know, people love and hate,
Yeah.
like you gotta get past the mermaid's bathwater, the burnt band-aids. Like once you get past all that stuff, there's something good in there.
Oh my God.
I haven't found it yet. I haven't.
But you've been willing to dig deep.
Yeah, I tried it. Yeah.
So okay.
I will say that the two main like Islas that I consider, Lafroig and Ardbeg, I prefer Ardbeg, but I don't particularly like it.
So you think it tastes like bathwater?
Mermaid's
and
bathwater.
Band-Aids. And Band-Aids?
Yes, burnt band-aids.
Burnt Band-Aids.
Yes.
It's very specific.
Take a band-aid, light it on fire, smell it. Like rubber, like burning rubber.
I mean, I can sense what it is. It's just very specific.
Yeah.
So we'll try one of those on the show.
You probably should, because I do kind of want to go back to it.
Yeah, we'll have to try all kinds of stuff on here.
I got a bottle of Highland Park 10, which is not as extreme as those two, but it's hard for me to drink. It's very expensive too, but I can't do it. The other thing I like about whiskey is that, like you said, after you've let it sit for a while, the outside of the glass has gotten washed with whiskey and it's kind of dried out, and that smelling of like the real sweetness like behind it, like after it's dried out.
Yeah.
It's really good.
That's very specific too. You are a very good sommelier. You're like, you know when the whiskey washes around the glass and then it just dries, and then that aroma. Bro, there's another one about to fall off the wall over there. Do you think the set will get better over time, or we'll just let it slowly fall apart?
I hope we don't let it fall apart, but it is kind of funny to let it fall apart towards the end of our first podcast.
Yeah.
So that's pretty funny.
Yeah, it's coming to a close.
What if that's like a shtick? Like at the end of every podcast, something falls down.
So people are like, damn, it's almost over.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, we can make that happen.
I gotta say, like any whiskey that has that tea flavor in it is gonna be like my favorite.
Yeah, my least favorite. Everybody's hot.
Everybody's hot. I believe that.
God, I spilled some whiskey in my chair.
Don't spill the whiskey.
All right, so we're back, guys.
So we're back from our commercial
We
break.
could literally talked about having Rachel on the
Okay.
show, and now she's here.
She just happened to show up.
So we manifested Rachel,
Coincidence.
and we were talking about manifesting. Look at this.
What else are
What?
you manifesting?
I just manifested this
Apparently,
thing to
the
fall
pop
apart.
filter falling apart.
God.
This
is a
extensive
real
setup.
half-assed type of set.
You know, that's what we were going
We're
for,
going for authenticity.
which is
Authenticity.
half-ass.
Yeah.
So the fact that you said that is a compliment.
Look, not everyone has a pop filter,
Yeah,
but we do.
we do.
We still have a microphone.
All right, guys. So when we left off, our camera actually died. And what we were doing was tasting this whiskey.
I don't know where we left off.
We were tasting this whiskey. You were telling us about how it went through the
Did it-
still that it went through.
Did it not get all that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Where
what
did it
got.
die at?
I don't know where it died at, but I can tell you this: Rachel's here now, and she's about to taste this whiskey. So, give us your honest opinion.
All right.
All right. So for the record, this is 100 proof. I know that was caught, and it's a bottled in bond. So there are certain government regulations that require you to fulfill in order to have that label on it. It's got to be aged at least 4 years, 100 proof, single distillery, and season.
Well,
Go.
for a gal who doesn't like whiskey, here we go. Tastes like whiskey. Oh God, it burns. It burns.
And see, that's
See, I didn't think it burned very much.
yeah, because you're used to it.
So we're okay. So what we were talking about earlier,
You have to sip it.
my
like it's hot.
favorite part.
Like think that it's hot, like you're drinking like a hot chocolate or coffee or something.
Oh
try,
God.
try to appreciate just the burn. Instead of avoiding the burn, try to appreciate the burn.
I don't.
It's syrupy.
I don't think you necessarily have to appreciate the burn, but it's something that you have to get past.
No, if you appreciate the burn, that's my favorite part.
The burn is your favorite part?
It's because if you open your throat for the burn, you can really taste all the flavors.
I don't know. The way I go about it is kind of like
Tell her how you go
go
about
through
it.
it. Yeah.
Tell her
Just
what your
like
take is.
Punch your way
try,
through
here,
that.
Try another sip of it and give her your honest opinion.
Punch your way.
See, whiskey always just tastes syrupy to me. It's so sweet.
Yeah. Yeah. See, there's
Really?
a sweetness to it.
Yeah,
Exactly.
It's like, but it's
Too
syrupy.
syrupy?
Sweet. Yeah.
Just a little bit. So it's good you can taste the sweetness, but like
I mean, I don't know how you can't taste the sweetness.
some people just taste the alcohol burn.
I feel tipsy already from my small sips. This reminds me of my early 20s.
Small sip.
You know, like everybody in their early 20s, they have some liquor that they just.
It was
Can
whiskey for you?
It was whiskey for me. For
What?
sure.
What?
Probably from like whiskey sours. You know, that seems like
Yeah.
something I would drink.
Whiskey
in my
sours
early
were good.
20s. And yeah, like I for sure got, too drunk a time or two, and then I've never been able to drink whiskey since.
A whiskey sour is a. I give that credit because the sour of a whiskey sour ruins whiskey for me.
I mean, yeah, you don't drink a whiskey sour looking for like different
Yeah.
tasting and
notes.
smelling notes. So
Right.
you just
I
drink
mean,
it.
if
'Cause
this was sour, I might be able to drink it, but
I can
on
make it
its
bitter.
own,
I can put some lemon bitters in it. That's about it.
that's about it.
Or I
Oh,
could
wow.
squeeze an
ice?
orange into
like
it.
an ice cube.
I used to have
Would
those.
squeeze an orange into it? Maybe that would make it better.
More like an old fashioned.
I'll make it special for you.
Okay, let's see it. I'm
Yeah,
ready.
I got you.
We're gonna have to make.
So
it.
the alcohol that would be that for me would be Jägermeister.
Ooh.
Oh, I couldn't do Jaeger either.
I used to love Jaeger bombs. Like
My-
Red Bull, Jaeger straight, by the gallon. And then like I just got sick of it. I can't do it anymore.
My friend Jess, Jaeger was her drink of choice, and I just remember when the bars were about to close and she had already had too many drinks, she'd be like, Jaeger shots, and there were like definitely a couple times that I was like, I'm just gonna hand this to somebody else because I cannot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like Jaeger's on the same plane as whiskey for me.
I don't think so.
I mean, that's where it is. My drinks of choice are always gonna be like clear liquors, vodka, gin,
The stuff that you
maybe
don't
some tequila.
taste for the alcohol itself. You
Exactly.
You
yes.
taste it for the other things that you mix with it.
Absolutely.
So that's what I like about whiskey is because there are other flavors in there that you can like look for when you're drinking it
Well,
by
I think you
itself.
would argue with gin, you can do that.
It's true, you can. Yeah,
gin,
gin's
you
good
do
too.
that. I
Yeah.
do gin martinis, filthy.
Yeah, but I'm just saying like gin straight, like no mix.
Yeah, but no, gin, like, it does have a lot of flavors in it.
Madame.
Well,
You know
I
what
agree with
whiskey
that.
turns my stomach now? Like Jaeger turns my stomach a little bit now, but like Old Tub.
I don't know what Old Tub is. What is
Old
it?
Tub is a bourbon that the Jim Beam distillery did. I drank like half a bottle on one camping trip, and like I can't do it anymore. Like I smell it, it just doesn't sit right.
Old Tub?
Yeah,
Yeah, I can imagine that was probably going to be the outcome when you bought it.
it's really good though.
Probably why they're like, let's call this
They-
old fucking tub.
They used to only They used to only sell it at the distillery, but then like
Because it was legal obligations.
so many people liked it that they decided to release it like a full release. That's probably not right, but there's some history there.
Oh God.
It's not better?
I mean, just whiskey's really hard for me.
What did you mix with it? Like, is it old fashioned? You did like Angostura bitters and orange peel.
I did lemon bitters, orange peel, orange
Sugar?
zest, and I squeezed a blood orange into it.
I know. I remember when we went downtown to
Simple
a
sugar?
place to see the band.
I don't
syrup?
have any simple syrup,
Simple
my friend, on hand. That's probably the only thing that's
I
lacking.
mean, simple syrup is very easy to make.
Yeah.
I had 30 seconds in there, guys. We're in the middle of a podcast. I didn't
But-
have 10 minutes to whip it up.
Sugar cube.
I don't have a sugar cube.
You don't keep sugar cubes?
I have skull-shaped sugar cubes. I can't believe you don't even have regular sugar.
That's
cubes.
crazy.
Guys, I have
How
the
do you not have
studio.
sugar cubes?
BYOSQ. I mean,
BYOS cube.
Bring your own sugar cubes.
I mean, I think I'm just gonna have to bring my own
Did you
different
mu-
liquor.
You guys
Did you
might have
mud-
to bring a lot
Did
of
you
stuff.
muddle it?
No, there was no muddling. So what's gonna happen is I'll produce the studio. I'll
You're
have
gonna
it here.
produce the studio.
I'll have it here ready.
Okay.
You guys show up with whatever you want to bring, props.
Seen those pictures on the internet where it's always those like clickbait abs, and it's like, this is what Carrot Top looks now, and it's like this
He's
like
like Jack.
yeah. I've never clicked on one, but I'm like, man, that's pretty crazy.
He
But
is
I mean,
Jack.
I think it's crazy that he became a thing anyway.
Yeah, me too.
He was not funny.
No,
But
He's
somehow
a
we were-
good-looking guy.
He's
We were
not
made to
funny.
believe that he was funny, but he wasn't.
that's conditioning.
I mean, but
It is
okay,
what it is.
so what are other things from when we were kids that you thought were funny that are now like, wow, I can't believe I thought that was funny.
Ren and Stimpy.
I never thought. Ren and
Powdered
Stimpy
Toast
was
Man is still good.
Who?
Huh?
Powdered Toast Man. He was on Ren and Stimpy.
I don't remember.
Oh,
I don't
I
Remember,
never
he was like a
watched Ren and
superhero. He had the bread slice for the head.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I didn't know his name. Ren and Stimpy is so bad. I think I thought it was bad then.
Yeah.
I just thought I was supposed to think it was funny.
There were a couple of things that I think were good, but in general, Ren and Stimpy wasn't that great.
Out of everything that was good back then, would you say that? What was Cartoon Network's late night thing called?
Adult Swim.
Do you think that was the best?
I liked it. Yeah.
I think Adult Swim.
That's
was
how I
probably
just-
Yeah,
the
I
best.
liked a lot of stuff on Adult Swim.
Toonami is how I discovered Dragon Ball Z.
I was a little ahead of your time on that one.
That was the whole
Yeah.
I woke up randomly because I used to sleep with TV on, and there was Dragon Ball Z playing on at like midnight.
Yeah.
Like I watched it and I was like hooked.
Hey, wait, how old were you at this point?
12.
Oh, I don't think that I watched Adult Swim
13?
until like I was like probably 15 or 16.
I was like 13.
I think Adult
So
Swim
you are
came
older
out.
than me.
Adult
to be
Swim.
fair.
Yeah, Adult Swim came out afterwards.
I remember when Adult Swim came out. It was when I lived in that trailer off 220.
Is that how
That
old
is
it
when
is?
it came out.
You sure?
Yeah.
What trailer is that?
In the trailer park,
The trailer park
like where
where Nan and Pap live.
Yeah.
You've
Oh,
been
I didn't
there.
know you lived there.
I lived there when I was in high school.
yeah.
Well, I didn't know you till you were like out of high school.
You didn't know my past? There's a lot of things Rachel Pye doesn't realize about my past. One of them is that I lived in that trailer park.
Well, no, I knew you probably lived in a trailer park at some point.
You look like you lived in a trailer park.
No, I mean,
I didn't know you lived in that trailer park, but I just assumed at some point in your life you were from a trailer park. Okay.
no,
I
from
get
all
it.
the things
I get
that
it.
you've
I'll
talked
just
about in your life.
I'll rip this. It's fine. I'll just
all
start
the things
holding.
you've talked about in your life. Like, I'm sure you've told me that you lived in a trailer park. I don't think I just made this up.
I mean,
Like,
the
I
thing,
never
People
knew
look-
specifically you lived in a trailer park, but from all the stories I've heard, clearly
I mean,
you were born and bred in a trailer park.
I mean,
You know, they did call you what, corn breath or corn teeth as a child? I mean, how could I not assume?
Corn teeth?
I don't know all that.
Look,
I just
Chris was going vividly into some corn tasting notes in this whiskey earlier, and I was trying to avoid the traumatic
Are we putting
experience.
corn in the whiskey?
corn and cardboard.
I was trying to avoid the corn breath. Yes, my childhood nickname was corn breath. I was trying to get away from that by not acknowledging
You should
Chris's.
have known if you were gonna make me do this that was gonna come up.
I should have known the corn breath was coming out.
corn breath.
Yeah. Why was I called corn breath? Because I was poor and the only thing we could eat, we could afford was corn.
So,
Okay?
so based
I
on
was
this
gonna say, no
story,
wonder you
is
couldn't
it
taste the
not
corn in
an
this.
easy
I blocked it out
inference
of
to
my
get
brain.
to
Blocked
you
it out.
probably lived in a trailer park at some point?
If your breath is of corn, clearly You were raised in a trailer park. Hey, I mean, I get it now. I didn't know it before, but now I know. Now I know.
I mean, I'm pretty sure you told me. I'm like, at some
You're either gonna get a lot of love
The trailer park
from
was
our audience, or you're gonna get a lot of hate.
The trailer park stuff was interesting times, though.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, those were formative years, right?
Out of everybody in this room, raise your hand if you've lived in a trailer.
I feel like I'm being attacked for
No.
not.
I was just seeing. I just wanted to.
Like you said, trailer, like whether it's in a park or not, right?
Whether what?
It's in a park or not.
Did you live with Kevin in a trailer or something?
Yeah, so I lived in a trailer at 3 points in my life.
Yeah.
So why are you even asking?
Because there's definitely a difference.
You qualify for all three.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So why are you asking?
I'm just saying.
Did it have to be in a park?
I'm just
Because
saying.
I lived in a trailer that wasn't in a park. I lived in a trailer that was in a park, and I lived in a trailer.
There's definitely a difference between living in a trailer on a piece of land and living in a trailer park.
I would agree.
So you're
with that.
better than me.
I've lived in both.
You're better than me.
I've
Well,
lived
no,
in
I mean,
both.
to be fair to both of you, my dad spent an active part of my childhood to try to make us think we were poor so that we would have a better appreciation for money.
That's smart.
Hold on, you had a dad?
I think it's smart.
I'm just kidding. Some people.
Privilege.
Some people. I'm just speaking for some.
Some people.
So your
That's
dad,
smart though. That's
you
smart.
know,
I
in
don't think it is actually psychologically. You are more likely if you grew up without money or thinking that you did not have money to overspend as an adult to make up for all the things that you couldn't have when you were younger. So it sounds like a good idea.
You think it has the opposite effect?
Yeah. So it has the opposite effect.
have you read Rich Dad Poor Dad?
I haven't.
Well, if you read Rich Dad Poor Dad, it clearly states that yes, the studio is falling apart. I'm sorry.
Things are falling off. the
It
walls
clearly
right now.
states that your
You
mindset.
can barely see it in the camera though. It's all right.
Oh yeah. Okay, so your mindset judges a lot about your future spending habits. And if you grew up with a poor dad who's always in neglect, needing, lacking, like a lacking mindset, that it puts you in a lacking mindset. And that even if you have good spending habits when you get older, that you're always in a lacking mindset. Whereas if you have a rich dad who's always like, oh, abundance, we have what it's easy, everything's easy, you don't have to struggle. You have that mindset growing up.
Yeah,
And
it's
even if you have
a
this,
mindset of you,
I
what
guess,
you put out
but-
into the universe is what you receive. You know.
But if
well,
things,
that goes a little deeper.
I
I
would
know it does, but
assume-
still, same thing.
I would assume that if things fell apart for the person that grew up without wanting, that it would be more detrimental to them than someone that didn't, that were wanting in their early formative
actually
years.
Hold on,
disagree.
hold on.
I-
Go a little deeper into that. Explain both sides of that story.
Well, I mean, that's just what I'm thinking.
Yeah. So go a little deeper. Say
so, like,
why
if-
would it be detrimental?
If you say you fell into a hardship and you're in a position to where you have always had something, and now you're in a position where you can't get the things that you need or want, that would be more detrimental to you than if you had been in a situation prior where you were already living in that situation, so you knew how to handle yourself.
So you think that if you're in the mindset of always in the weeds, that if you get in the weeds, you'll be better.
You've already been in
You're
the
better-
weeds, so you know how to handle
So you're
it.
better equipped to handle it.
Yeah,
But you're also at a detriment in the opposite of that.
Yeah,
To
for
where
sure.
if everything
you can never see through the weeds. Maybe
if everything came to you easy, you would self-sabotage because it's something you're not used to.
because you're used to things being easy.
You're used to not necessarily used to things being easy. If you're always in the weeds, you're used to things always being difficult.
yeah.
So
then
when
you
they
have
become-
a comfort in the difficult,
Yeah,
and then
so
you
when
stay
they
there.
become
forever.
easy,
Yeah,
you're like,
so-
this isn't meant for me.
I guess it depends on what we are going to determine as like success and stuff like that too, right? Because like if you're the type of person that's always industrious, so you're always working through the weeds, and maybe you're always like working and pushing forward. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe that turns you into a more industrious person.
Okay, so define industrious.
Getting things done, putting out product, service, whatever it is.
Okay, so
you have
would
to be
you
doing.
would you adequate that with success?
Yeah, I think so. I think
So
the more
you-
that's a good question. I don't know.
So you think the
I don't
more
know.
I think
industrious?
it's more about ambition.
I think it's more about perspective.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Because you
Yeah,
can be
I think so.
industrious as fuck, successful as fuck in your own mind, and producing very little in the form of abundance for yourself.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
But wouldn't you say
Yeah,
that
your
the majority?
perspective. Happiness is a perspective. I agree.
So would you say that the majority of the population doesn't strive for better than what they have because they're comfortable?
Yes.
Okay.
Because it gets into that risk reward thing, like we were talking about with like seat belts and speeding tickets and everything else. Like when you were younger, like
It's all about the consequences.
yeah, it's like it's no big deal. I'll pay it off. Whatever.
There's no such thing as good and bad. Only the consequences you're willing to deal with over the things you do.
Good and bad and what? Like
Are we talking morals or just like
anything,
things
like,
that go with
everything.
I disagree.
Yeah, I disagree with that.
So
because
if
you're responsible to the people and the
consequences.
culture around you.
That's the consequences.
So, yeah, but you're saying there's no good and bad. And so the argument is, I think that every person is responsible to society as a larger whole and to keep success. So if there is good and bad in the grand scheme of what your responsibility
Because of
is to other
consequences.
people. No, not because of, the consequences of what
I
you
think-
do to other
I
people.
think
Separate
there-
the good and bad without a consequence.
There are right. So there are good and bad. We are all capable of both good and bad. And what keeps us doing good could be for some people the consequences of what would happen if they were bad, unless there's some sort of like moral framework that they're operating off of.
So delete the moral framework of religion.
Okay.
It's not religion. It's not
It
religion.
is though. It
Well,
is
No,
religion.
it's not. I disagree because you are responsible for society as a whole, and in order for society to continue, there has to be that there are things you should and should not do.
Because of consequences.
I happen to
But
think
it's not based around religion.
I happen to think that
No, it's not.
hard for us as Westerners to perceive a world without the influence of Judeo-Christian values, and so that even though it may not be implicitly religious, the way that we think about things is guided by that, even if it's not
Yeah.
necessarily religious.
And that's
If you could delete the religion, delete the consequences, delete everything outside, delete everything, and put me, you, and Rachel in the woods, in the wilderness, in the middle of nowhere, the only thing that would dictate the good and the bad things that we did would be the negative consequences we got from the group. Tell me one situation that wouldn't.
Yeah, but I think
Tell me one.
I think the problem with that comes from like living or believing that there are no consequences may work in a small group, but when you start
No, you're not believing there's no consequences. You're basing every single action you make on
the
a
consequences
consequence,
they're
other than good and bad.
Mm.
If you don't believe in good and bad, if you literally took that concept out of your brain that good and bad doesn't exist, and me, you, and Rachel lived in the wilderness, and the only thing we had to focus on was survival, the only things that you would call good or bad would be based on
based on the actions that the consequences
they
of
would
the
be
actions.
based on the consequences of the actions. Explain one single thing you could do that wouldn't be based on the consequences. You can't. If you can, you would surprise me.
Yeah, but I mean the thing is there are still abject good and bad
Objective based on
on the consequences.
on the
that happen.
consequences.
Right.
So tell me this: today's day and age, me, you, and Rachel in the wilderness, you murder a deer.
Mhm.
Me, you, and Rachel are like, this is the best thing that ever happened.
Yeah,
we're,
so we need.
we're alive.
Yeah.
But there's a perspective of that where you just murdered a fucking deer who was gonna go home and
Yeah.
let his family live.
Nature doesn't work on that concept.
yeah.
So, I mean,
that's
So
not
you
the
agree?
same.
Consequences.
Yeah, but I mean I agree with the consequences, but
Everything
there's
is
still
based on the
they're
consequence.
still good and bad, right?
So explain it to
it's
me
good.
without a consequence.
But
Nah.
then you're basing it around like a
I'm just giving
survival.
one.
You can't say good and bad when it's based around survival. Survival
Why?
doesn't.
I
survival
think you can. Right?
No.
You think you
because-
can? I don't
So
know.
all right, so the
Yes.
Donner Party, was it good for them to become cannibals in order to survive?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
mean,
Because without that, we'd never even know the story.
we don't need to know the story.
Yeah, we do. It's human nature. It's the nature of our human
I don't know.
beings.
I think
But not everybody knows it, so therefore it is not a necessary known for the entire to society as a whole.
If you didn't know it, you wouldn't know the conditions in which it took to surpass good and bad.
in my opinion, I think that it was a bad thing that they resorted to cannibalism in order to live through the Oregon Trail and all that. They lived, so maybe that's good.
We had a very similar conversation in this about a submarine crashing on the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah.
And there's 90 days of food. There's 130 people. And the technology is 10 years away that exists to recovering this ship.
I don't think you'd be able to live on 10 years.
Do you think that one of that 130 people would be able to sacrifice in a way that they could live that entire 10-year period?
So you're saying basically kill everybody else or let
Everybody else might die. People might starve to death.
No, because you need companionship.
So what if you and one other person made a pact?
Yeah, I'd have to do the math on if there was enough food.
It would be
Based
enough.
on 130 people.
It would be enough. There's
you
90
already
days.
calculated for 2 people.
There's 90 days worth of food for 130 people.
Okay, so I'm also. Is it perishable?
No,
Because
there's a power supply that lasts 15 years.
You have refrigeration.
There's a power supply that lasts 15 years.
Okay. But just because you have refrigeration doesn't mean something's not perishable.
Yeah.
Like an apple,
Freezer.
it might
Freezer.
Things spoil.
They have a
Yeah.
freezer on board.
Okay.
Things spoil, but you can refrigerate them. So
There's 90 days of food for 130 people.
I'd still have to do the math to determine if that's enough.
The math. We already did
Okay,
the math.
assuming that your math is correct, that it's enough for 2 people. I mean,
You would have to eat people.
you would have to eat people.
You would have to
I
freeze
don't-
people.
I don't know.
Come around year 9 or 10, you'd be pulling bodies out of the freezer and figuring out how to eat them.
I mean, maybe 9 or 10. I don't know if
If you had already made
it depends on. I think it also depends on the mental state of the people, and because I don't know that watching 128 other people die and then I think that you're going to come out at the other end of that where it'd just be probably better if you didn't.
Why? What if your
because
message?
your
What if your message? What if
broken
your
down so much?
What if your message was greater than that of the 130 people that died? What if you made it your goal? What if you made it your goal to take a statement from 128 people on this submarine that you were going to pass to their future generations? What if you made it your goal that me and Rachel are the only 2 people on this ship that are going to survive, but we're going to do it and we're going to bring the message of every other 128 people on this boat, and we're going to take that message to their families, to their future generations.
Do you like how you just got killed on this boat just now? He said me and him were going to be the survivors.
Because he already told me earlier he was going down with the ship.
Down with the ship. Well,
Yeah, I mean,
no, but see, that's not a good enough motivation for me because you can record it in some way, right?
No.
You can.
No.
That's
no.
for me. I'm just like
No.
for me.
What
it's
if
not
the
good enough
what if
motivation.
what if the mindset was the only way you could portray it is if you survived? Because if they pinged the ship in 10 years and there wasn't survivors, they wouldn't even cut to get it. They wouldn't go down and get it.
So into the mathematical equation. All right. So the hypothetical is they know what the ship is. They can't get to it now, but in 10 years later they create something.
Yeah, I want you to try this out.
They create something
Hold on, I gotta.
that is able to go and rescue you.
So in 10 years, they ping the ship and they see, oh, there's
Like,
two.
oh, we
there's
found-
2 people
We
still
found the
alive.
ship.
The only
I think
reason
that
we're collecting the ship is because there's 2 people alive on it.
Okay, so
Tell me that you wouldn't.
you're real bad at interrupting.
Yeah.
This is going to the preface. They've made tons of movies about people being on long-term space journeys. What's the difference? Like it's kind of the same type
Reality.
of concept. Or like, are people capable of being alone for that long? I just think that a key part of the human existence is not about just physical survival. It is about having companionship of the people around them.
I mean, that's what I'm kind of basing this on is that you
I mean that's
and
kind of
another
what
person.
that's kind of what I was saying earlier when we were talking about this.
If you and another person on that submarine make a pact that we're going to weather the storm to the end and we're going to send this message on, don't you think that would be enough?
I think it's bad to eat people.
But what if you had to bring
Well,
this
so are you going to be murdering these people or letting them die of natural causes?
natural causes?
And you just happen to be the last 2.
You decide and you agree with everybody else on the ship. You come to people like Chris. You're like, me and Rachel, we're gonna be the one. We're gonna try to make it to the 10-year mark where they rescue us, bro.
I
We
think
want
that
your
there would
story.
be a big fight. You're also taking away that all these 100 other 28 people are willing to sacrifice their lives so that you two can do it.
No, I would say it'd be very hard to do. It would be a very hard concept to. It
I
would take
think
a
that
year. It would take years.
Yeah.
It would take the first couple years.
We're talking about a 10-year. Like, first off, 90 days of food for 130 people
90 days of food.
does not mean 10 years of food for 2 people.
Only if
that's
people
what I'm
start
saying.
dying
That's
off
what,
soon.
That was the calculation I'm giving.
That's what I'm saying. People are going to start dying off soon. But like Chris said, there's guns on board.
There's
People
guns.
are going to start offing themselves before you have an ability to even give your message. So you're not going to bring everybody's message.
Meat's back on the menu, boys.
I'm just saying there's going to be a certain amount of people that
So
off
do you
themselves.
nutritionally survive though? Also, is there,
Oh,
is
yeah.
there potable water?
That's another thing. Yeah.
Yeah, the system creates it. That's part of the system. You guys don't store the entire water.
Desalinization, bottled
Yeah.
water.
You don't store the entire amount of water you need.
I can't remember, to be honest with you.
Rachel's right. That's an important thing to know.
It is.
Yeah.
I don't think you guys stored 180 days worth of water.
No,
You had a
90
process.
90 days of food.
And then also, if you're bringing in water from the outside and you're really relying on there not over time being a valve leak or something like that from things just wearing.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, all this is hypothetical anyway.
I know. I'm
So
saying,
it's kind
but
of
I'm
like,
just saying the logical part of me says it's just not. It's just an inaccurate.
I
You
think
have to think
I think
about
what we're
it.
trying to talk is like
If
what
if
is
it's
more
possible.
morally correct? Is it better?
It's morals. Yeah. It's
Is
not
it
about-
better? Is it better to live and eat other people, live and tell a story, or is it better to?
Here's my
Get out
Eric,
of shit.
here's the thing. If it wasn't you, okay. So think about it from the other perspective. So imagine it's me, and you and Rachel get together, and you're like, we're gonna weather this storm. Like we're gonna eat whoever we have to eat. We're gonna kill whoever we have to kill. We're gonna let die whoever has to die. But we're gonna make it to the end, and we're gonna bring that story. We're gonna change the world. And you guys come to me, and you're like, hey Daniel. Our plan is to change the world. We're going to make it to 10 years. We're not expecting you to make it to 10 years. Are you willing to give us your full story
You
to
look like you'll die any
to
day
pass
now.
on? I would really be like, damn, like how do I kill Chris and take over this position
I know,
so
it's
that
just
I
gonna
could
happen.
be.
It's just gonna be like a chain, you know.
But in doing that planning,
I
I would
think-
also come up with my story.
Okay, well, getting back to the original question, is it right or wrong to eat people? That is the
That's
original.
not the original.
That is-
Yeah,
question.
it
That
was.
is.
That was the whole original
That's
question.
it. Like, is it?
I thought the original question was, no matter what it took, would you make it to 10 years?
Which
No,
base?
no, we
which
started
means
this
eating
around
people.
the-
It means eating people.
Yeah, around if it's right to eat people.
I think eating the people is a smaller aspect of the story.
I don't know, man.
I
if you
feel
can
like
make
we
it-
learned
so
a lot
here's
about
the-
Daniel
alright.
in this interaction.
Here's the thing. I learned a lot about Chris earlier. If the Civil War happened, he's like, "Ooh, I think we just murder everybody.
No, not everyone. Just those who disagree with
Just
you.
whoever doesn't want to share their SpaghettiOs." Anyway, my moral of this story is: if you're gonna make it to 8 years, and the only thing you have to do to make it 2 more years is to eat some frozen bodies, that's a small part of the story. Because clearly you're gonna do that. You're not gonna be like, "Oh, I've made it 8 years. They're gonna rescue us in 2 years, but I don't eat people." Clearly, you would eat people.
Yeah, I mean,
I will-
maybe.
I would like to think that I would not eat people and I would just perish.
Chris, you would not live 8 years under the ocean to not eat people for a couple years.
Yeah, I know.
Either way, like in your original question, is it, you were talking about right or wrong? I mean, it's wrong. There's no, like, you can't say it's not
Why?
wrong either way.
Why?
It just is.
Yeah, but that doesn't
It
make
is
sense.
wrong to eat people. People do the wrong thing.
Why
all
is
the
it wrong
time.
to eat
Yeah,
people?
So I don't know.
Why is it wrong to eat people?
Because it's a person.
Okay, so once they're dead, is it a person?
Yep.
Yes!
They still have a consciousness?
They don't have consciousness.
So why is it
Yeah,
wrong?
but it's disrespectful to the people mourning them.
Yeah.
What if the people mourning them, the only thing they wanted
And
was
this-
to know their story?
In this hypothetical situation, like, you're not gonna have a body, so I mean,
What if the
It's just
only thing that
whatever
person's
happens, yeah.
family had
I think that
was
you're
when
in a,
you came back, you were like,
we-
Daniel lasted 100 days. He told me every day we have a story we wrote down. Like his only love was you.
I think it would be better to say like, yeah, and he's still over there.
yeah. Well, anyway, so
Dead in the
your
corner.
original question is, there, like, take away something as if there's no rights or wrong, I think, was your original.
Yeah.
and live life, you know. And so I appreciate it to a degree. I agree. You shouldn't like live your life around what other people put on you as being right or wrong.
Right.
You know, you should live your life in a way that is true to who you are. But
what if that is true to who you are, is eating people? Like,
well,
my
love
whole
a good
argument,
fillet.
guys,
Yeah.
my whole argument isn't if it's right or wrong. It's that if you could literally bring a message to those people's families just because you ate them. You're like, I ate your son. But if I wouldn't have eaten your son, I wouldn't be here to tell you the story he wanted me to tell you.
I feel like if you told them that you ate their son, they wouldn't want to listen to you.
You see, that's your perspective.
you're not a salesperson.
That's
I'd
your
say.
perspective.
I don't.
See, if I was alive and Rachel was my best friend, right? Just let me say this one thing. Rachel's my best friend.
Okay.
She goes off to sea. 10 years later, I find out, yeah, she died in that submarine at the bottom of the ocean. Everybody died.
Right.
Or everybody died except for this one guy who made it. And I have the opportunity to come meet you and you say, oh, Rachel was your friend? Let me tell you about the last 100 days I spent with her. She told me all this important stuff. Like, she loved you. She was your best friend. She had a great life. That stuff would be important to me.
Are you gonna?
But you're telling me that.
you also didn't start this with. You said, "Oh, Rachel was your best friend," and all this stuff. You didn't start with like, "I ate Rachel."
You're right. Let me get back to this.
Right.
So then I meet you, and you're like, so the first person that passed away was Rachel.
Okay.
And we all had to eat her to stay alive. But I have a message from her. That message would be more important to me than you eating her. I'd be like, thank God you ate her and she sacrificed for you.
As an outsider, I would question: Did she really die of natural causes, or did you just kill her and eat her?
No, because I already know Rachel. She
But
wouldn't die.
I don't know.
She
about
wouldn't
any of
get
this
murdered.
stuff.
She'd be one of the ones killing people. I already know.
I would assume you're just going out making Rachel fillets and
It doesn't matter. Would you want to know the story or not?
However you cut.
Would you want to know the story or not? What if Alex? What if Alex went off on a field trip and then died?
I
and
think
10 years later,
to a dead horse.
10 years later, you find somebody on that submarine is alive, and they could tell you his story.
I want to hear the story.
They could tell you the story of his last 100 days alive. But all you would have to realize is that they ate him.
I would tell you that if they didn't lead with "I ate him," then I would want to hear the story.
What if they said we had to eat him?
If they finished with they ate him, then I would probably not want to listen anymore. It'd probably be worse for it.
I think though that
I would wanna know that
realistically,
story.
you'd probably kind of know
I would
before
wanna know
you ever got the opportunity
that
to
they
develop
ate
this
him.
person, and it's more likely that they're not going to want to talk about that aspect of it. And so I think that if you went and like talked to somebody, and they probably would never bring up that part of it because they probably have a lot of shame around it.
I mean, there's a lot of hypotheticals we're talking
But
about.
you would still
There's
have
a
the
lot.
remembrance. You would still have the story. Isn't that worth more than your kid being eaten by somebody? That story of the last 100 days of their life would be way more important to you than if they got eaten.
Past memories too. I mean, it's not
It
like those
doesn't
things
matter.
don't die.
I don't think it would
that
matter.
I think that we're done with cannibalism.
All right, fine. I'll accept
I
it.
mean, I know that this is a.
We do have to wrap it up.
Yeah, we gotta wrap it up.
Can I just move this pop filter around and then this could be the exit?
I think you need to end on a funnier note.
What's more funny than cannibalism? I mean, Matt Stone and Trey Parker did a whole musical on cannibalism.
I mean, that's. I mean, maybe. What's more funny than cannibalism? Nothing that I know of. Now we know. Now we know where Chris Tuck is in life. Thinking about cannibalism on the daily.
What? I'm not even the one that brought it up.
You were the one. You were like, remember that what was it? The
Donner Party.
Yeah, you brought that up.
Well, that's where this was going.
Oh, is that where we started? I lost where we started.
Yeah, we were going from because he brought up like being in a submarine and there's so many people on board.
Because
and
he was talking about is there good or bad?
yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
okay.
So we were going that way.
I see. Now I know.
Yep.
Nevertheless, I think I'm going to keep my opinion of Chris Tuck, thinking about cannibalism every
Oh,
day.
okay. Because it's just more entertaining.
Yeah. So, it's a good laugh. I mean, that could be really like the name of
Yeah.
the episode.
It's just like my brand now. It's like
Yeah.
cannibalism.
Thinking about
even though it's
cannibalism
like I didn't even
every
bring it
day. Dot, dot, dot. Now we know.
I gotta order Chinese food too.
You gotta order Chinese food.
Yeah,
So what
I'm
are we
gonna order
calling the
Chinese
episode?
and then I'm gonna
Chris Tuck,
pick it up.
thinking about cannibalism
I didn't even
every
bring-
day.
bring it
Or
up.
just thinking about
Bring
cannibalism
it up.
every day.
So the whole episode turned into cannibalism.
Yeah, it did.
Did this not work better?
I don't like it. It's a distraction.
Really? I really liked it.
Really?
Yeah, because I could like manipulate it while I was talking.
I don't know. I feel like it'd be better if there was a microphone behind it.
Well,
I
yeah,
knew that it was actually doing something.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
We found out, yes, you're super critical. You wouldn't eat people, and you're not going to talk to this unless I had a mic behind it. That's fine. I'll talk to it.
It's just
I'll hold
just
it
a
right here.
screen.
Daniel's just broken it 12 times.
I'll hold it right here. So we're wrapping up. Let's give a general consensus of what happened today.
Rachel made really weird faces about
We-
whiskey.
So the only part of this podcast that's going to be viral is the part where Rachel showed up.
Probably.
We're going to start with our whiskey and then go into the Rachel.
Yeah, I
Well,
don't
why
know.
does it have to be going
Hang
to the
on.
Rachel?
So-
Like, what am I going to make viral about this?
I don't know. So we started with 7th grade,
We started in 7th grade.
and then we got to apartment days, and then we talked about submarines, and
And then we got full
Getting
circle
drunk.
back to submarines.
whiskey. Rachel came in.
I would say that
submarines and
since we went
cannibalism.
full circle back to submarines and cannibalism, that's probably what's going to be thriving about our podcast.
Probably.
Today.
No, forever. That's
Forever?
all we're talking
For
about.
every episode.
For every episode, we'll come up with a different
way
one
to cook.
Yeah. Oh, God, a different way to cook. So this is how you're choosing it today. You know. I'm pretty sure that you could watch that Hannibal show, and you
Yeah.
know,
About
maybe he'll tell you about it.
I love Hannibal.
We learned a lot about Daniel's proclivities today.
Oh,
really
that
did.
I eat people.
That
Apparently, I'm
concerned
very
about.
cannibalistic.
It's like the first thing. He's like waiting for it.
He's been
As soon as
raped.
shit hits the fan, I'm going for the first eye.
Yeah, he couldn't wait.
Am I a cannibal?
I mean, tell us, Daniel.
I like
I
the
think that
mic.
you would know. I think that you would know.
I would eat people. I think that if it came down to if this was like survival, to like spread this to the rest of your generations, I think I would eat people.
I don't think that you should put that on the internet.
I don't think you should eat people.
I don't think you should
so.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of diseases and stuff with it too, right?
Yeah, I mean obviously,
Yeah,
but
no,
you
there
gotta
is,
cook it
absolutely.
right.
But
I
you
can't-
actually can get diseases
I can't
specifically
remember.
from. They can tell based on.
Here's all I'm saying, guys. If
I don't remember
1% of the
those-
population survives,
So this is an
they're
argument
fucking
of the
eating
greater
people.
good.
They're eating people,
I'm just
right?
I think
Chris, I can rewind this 2 hours back, and you're gonna be like, when shit hits the fan, I think we should stick to community. I think we should really start to come together with the community, and if nobody wants,
organized. Yeah.
if nobody wants to organize with us, we just cut their head off, and we take what they have.
I mean, obviously.
I was like, I think we should get together, start collecting food, steal food trucks, rob grocery stores. You're like, no, we should get together
I
and
thought
just start murdering
it
people.
was under the context of like, someone doesn't want to give up their stuff, and it's
Murder
like
'em.
you've got a
Kill 'em.
government, so
you
it's
have
like,
to kill
well,
them. You have to murder them in the street.
You gotta
have to
break-
This
hang
has
them.
gotten violent.
You
you
have
got
to
you
hang
gotta break
them
a few
locally.
eggs to make an omelet.
Yeah,
I mean,
you got to hang them in the street locally so people
I mean,
witness it.
Pope, yeah.
Make
I'm
shop
talking about
level
robbing
guys, shop
grocery
level.
stores, stealing Twinkies, and you're like, no. If somebody's not going to share their Twinkies, just cut their head
Well, I
off.
mean, like you organized the robbery.
My robbery is organized before the shit hits the fan.
Okay.
Rachel, are you about robbery?
About robbery?
Yeah.
No, didn't we have this conversation the other day about like
We're supposed to wrap up here. I really gotta get going.
oh yeah.
Guys, we got to wrap up.
Yeah, we gotta wrap up.
Wrap it up.
I
What's
got
your
nothing.
final statement?
My final statement is like, well, I'm here. I've been forced to do this.
Chris, what's your final statement?
You can follow me on X along with the other bots that follow my account.
That's your final statement. What's your account? Are you gonna at least share your account?
No, you'll find me.
My
Smart man.
final statement would be, this is the first episode of the podcast. Thanks for watching.
For
Hopefully
listening.
you give a fuck about what the fuck we're talking about. Goodbye.